Hi, and welcome back to Personal Injury Today, where we talk about the top hottest topics to help attorneys understand their cases better and also to come to a fair settlement. In today's video, we're going to learn about the 3 things that make personal injury cases so complex and how to address those issues. Stay tuned and we'll be back with Dr. Brad Poppie. All right, so today we're talking about the 3 top things that make personal injury cases so complex. I'm sure you've heard of a couple of these items. And we'll also address how to talk about those, how to overcome some of those top 3 issues. We are here with Dr. Brad Poppie. He's the founder of Injury Reporting Consultants that helps attorneys like you resolve your personal injury cases through evidence-based medical reporting and analysis. Welcome, Dr. Brad Poppie.
Thank you, thank you.
So let's just dive right in. What is this number 1 thing that makes personal injury cases so complex?
In personal injury, there's never a clear-cut case. There's never like a slam dunk. This is, the causation was established and the liability, everything checks out perfectly. It's just never that way. There's always curveballs and roadblocks. One of the ones that I see typically, or a lot anyway, is pre-existing conditions. We're human. It's not like people live their life and get into a car accident and then they have all these problems. I mean, that can be the case, but a lot of times they have pre-existing issues. Maybe they had a car accident 5 years ago. Maybe they got thrown from a horse last summer and they're having issues with their back or their neck or whatever. So there a lot of times there's always, something for the insurance company to say, well, hey, yeah, I understand that, they had a car accident, but what about this? What about this? What about this? And they were going to a chiropractor before this for treatment. So how can you say that this accident caused, their back pain when they're having back pain before? And that's legit. It's a legitimate argument. It's a common argument. So my best piece of advice is getting a doctor that is very good at doing apportionments, okay, and figuring out. And again, it's an orthopedic doctor that specializes in personal injury and/or workers' comp. They're very good at that as well, to determine, hey, this patient presented like X due to the medical records, diagnostic tests, etc., before the accident. Now the accident happens. And I think that these new injuries, whatever those may be, are caused from the accident. Mm-hmm. So let those medical experts decipher between what's old or chronic and new and fresh and acute. Okay, because if not, you're going to be doing this with the insurance companies, because they're going to have their side, you're going to have your side. You're not going to get anywhere. So you have to have good, solid numbers on apportionment of, what this accident is versus how they were before.
And can an attorney coach a doctor a little bit on making sure that they're differentiating those 2 sides of, before and after?
I don't like to use the word coaching. I mean, attorneys they should let the doctor do their thing. But I think explain to the doctor, hey, we really need to understand, they had prior back pain before, and do you think that now with these new injuries, new diagnostic tests that show new disc bulges, new whatever, can we attribute those to this accident? And if not, fine, why? So we have a clear understanding. That's really, really important.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, great. So what is that number 2 top issue that can make these cases so complex?
Gaps in care. So let's face it. A person gets into a car accident. They didn't sign up for this. It's not like they're a sports medicine patient where they get hurt on the basketball court and they blow out their knee. And they're like, hey, doc, I'll do whatever it takes to get back. I'll come into physical therapy 7 days a week. I don't care. You just tell me what to do. Because they need to get back playing, right? Well, personal injury is different. These guys didn't sign up for the car accident, more or less sign up for their rehab. And you think about when they get involved in rehab after a car accident, it's a part-time job. I mean, they might be going to physical therapy, chiropractic, massage, things like that for months, maybe years, depending on how severe things are. But think about that. People have lives. Maybe they're married, they got kiddos, they got work, whatever. And now let's add in 3 times a week physical therapy and chiropractic and massage. So what happens is there's a burnout. They get burned out just psychologically, regardless of if they're getting better or not. So a lot of times we start to see them drop off, okay, in their care. And then maybe there's gaps in care. Maybe they don't come in for a couple months because they're just mentally exhausted from their new part-time job. So it's basically those types of gaps that can just, again, the insurance company will say, well, gosh, if you were really hurt, why didn't you come in for 2 months? You must not have been hurt. You must have been feeling okay. Because if you were hurt, you'd still continue with which is understandable. But again, that's why it's just so important to be, compliant, for these clients to be compliant with their care so that we don't have gaps in treatment. Super, super important. And we see that a lot.
How do attorneys help avoid that? What can they say to their clients, or what have you seen that has worked to help avoid those gaps?
Yeah, well, it's the attorney. It's a collaborative approach with the attorney and the practitioners. From the practitioner standpoint, it's, hey, the more often you come in here, the quicker you're going to feel better. And there's a lot of evidence showing that works. The more consistent you are with care, the quicker your pain goes down, your function goes up, better strength, better range of motion, et cetera, et cetera. From the attorney standpoint, they're counseling their client on, hey, you got to have good attendance, because if not, we're going to be butting heads with the insurance company because they're going to think you're not hurt, rightfully so. So that's the talk they'll have with that client.
Got it. Before we get to our third point, I just want to remind all of you that are watching us today to go ahead and like this video, share it with other attorneys and clients, and then more importantly, subscribe to our channel so that you can receive updates on videos coming forward, especially when you like and hit the bell notification so that you'll get in your inbox a quick update like, hey, there's a new video out. We would really appreciate that. Okay, so we're going to hear this final point here, and this might be a little, you said it's a hot topic and maybe surprising to some of the people watching. So what's that kind of third thing that makes personal injury cases so complex, and how do we overcome those?
I think this third one is a kind of an overlooked topic. It doesn't happen all the time, but it certainly comes up, and that is prior felonies or incarceration from the client. I mean, certainly those topics aren't something they're proud of, so they may conveniently forget to tell their attorney about those things. Understandable, but they have to because it will come up. It will be dug up and presented, whether it's at trial or at mediation, okay? And here's an actual personal example. So an attorney reached out to me to do a functional capacity evaluation and a medical cost projection on their client. So I did the functional capacity evaluation and determined his impairments and disabilities. And then they also wanted an earnings capacity report. So I handed that off to my certified rehabilitation consultant to do an earnings capacity loss report. So they'll take my functional capacity evaluation findings and then put a monetary value to that on how much money they would lose over the course of their life expectancy due to their inability to work, okay? So about halfway-ish through the earnings capacity report that my rehabilitation consultant was doing, she uncovered via her interview his past felonies and incarceration. And it was extensive. And so we immediately got on the phone with the attorney and said, hey, just so you know, this is what we found. And he had no idea, which is huge. So we weren't even really able to continue with the vocational report that, because of these things that were uncovered. And so it just created a mess within, with the attorney-client, relationship. We're just trying to help. Hey, this is what we can offer. But when those things get uncovered, things can get ugly. So it's a question that you have to ask, Yeah, because again, they're not typically going to volunteer that, because again, they're not proud of those things for whatever reasons, I understand, but they have to be brought up.
So when they are brought up, let's say that they're asked up front and there is a past, what is that next step to help alleviate some things that could happen down the line?
Open communication. The attorney may kind of shift their mindset on, okay, how do we need to work this case because we have previous issues. And so in this example, the client had, from an orthopedic deficit standpoint, they had certainly impairments and disabilities. So, showing their inability to work, okay? But from an employability perspective, it's difficult to say, okay, he has these impairments and disabilities functionally from Dr. Poppie's report, but now, which shows lack of competitiveness in the workplace, but he has these prior issues, in the legal system, which also compound his ability to work. So it's kind of like, where do we go from here? It just convolutes the entire report and makes it really difficult to show facts and good value and accuracy. Makes it really difficult.
But if you're asking that question up front, that gives you a little bit more time to devise a strategy and a plan.
Exactly. As opposed to, in this case, hiring experts that start performing work, and then halfway through they're like, hey, I don't know if we should finish this report. Let me know what you want to do, but this is what we uncovered. And so then the attorney's out X dollars, when they could have saved that money and not done the report in the first place, if they just had known a little piece of information that's vital to the case.
Perfect. Thank you. That I would have never thought of asking that question. So hopefully this was helpful to all of you watching. Thank you for joining us. And if you have any questions for Dr. Brad, Poppie, you could just reach out. We have all of the information below this video. And if you have any specific questions or comments, feedback, if you have an idea for an episode, a topic that you want us to cover, place that down in the comments below. And we'll see you next time. Look out for our next episode. See you then.